everyone! A few weeks ago I made a video where I turned Sanrio characters into magical girls. You guys loved that video, so I decided to make a part 2. This time I changed things around a little bit. I tried to go back to my puppet-like art style. Probably not going to do that for future videos, but who knows? Regardless, it was really fun and I hope you guys like it too. And now, let's get to it. Let's start our video off with My Sweet Piano. My Sweet Piano isn't too popular, but she was actually requested quite a bit. I can see why. She's really cute and sweet, even her name is adorable. But she wasn't always My Sweet Piano. She was actually released under the name Hitsuji back in 1980, only being renamed to My Sweet Piano in 2005, believe it or not. She's My Melody's best friend, and like most characters from the My Melody bubble, she appeared in the anime Onegai My Melody. I actually watched the show when I was a kid as it came out, and I remember always being happy when My Sweet Piano made an appearance. According to the wiki, in the anime she doesn't actually speak, only making sheep noises, which is super weird to me for a few reasons. First, because I think she has the same voice actress as Kuromi, and I feel like if they wanted to give her lines, it would be pretty easy. And I swear I thought she could speak. I remember her speaking, though to be fair, I was like 6 or 7, if that much, so I might be confused. I definitely need to rewatch the anime. Regardless, it's a really odd choice because she speaks in other media. I would love to know why they chose to write her like that. As for her personality, I remember her being really sweet and kind as well as shy. Very soft and girly. Her favorite hobbies include making flower crowns, necklaces, and playing the piano, of course. So overall, she's a very cottagecore girly. Like I mentioned before, My Sweet Piano is not particularly popular. She never ranked in the top 10, and the highest she has ever ranked was in 2014, where she placed 15th. When turning her into a magical girl, I had to be careful to not design her to look like my character Dolly, since to be honest, My Sweet Piano reminds me a lot of her. It was not on purpose, but they have a very similar personality and vibe. It might be because they are both super sweet and kind, and because they are both sheep as well. They also have very similar aesthetics, maybe that's why I was rather excited to pick up My Sweet Piano to make a magical girl out of her. If you squint a little, they are still sorta similar outside of obvious changes, but I tried my best by changing skin tone, jaw type, glasses, and slightly changing the eye shape as well. They still have sorta the same vibe, which I don't actually mind too much, I just don't want them to look exactly the same. I drew her in a shy pose with a sweet smile. I also gave her fluffy cotton candy hair decorated with flowers, just like in her original design. In her hair shape, she also has flaps that mimic My Sweet Piano's ears. Her dress was mainly inspired by Alice in Wonderland, in the sense that it's a very pretty dress topped with a frilly apron, a lacy collar, and a magical girl staple, a big bow on her chest. Overall, she turned out really cute. Next up, we have Kuromi and Baku, and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't going to pick Kuromi because I've done Kuromi like 2 other times before, but you guys love Kuromi. Every other comment in my last Sanrio video was asking for her, so I felt like I had to get her in here somehow. In another comment, someone said something along the lines of, "I love Baku, but you probably won't draw him." And I was like, bet? By the name, I didn't recognize the character, but I knew that if I liked his design enough, I would include him. To my surprise, Baku is Kuromi's sidekick. And thus I got the solution to my problem. I would draw Kuromi and Baku as a set. Problem solved. Now let me tell you about these characters a little bit. Both Kuromi and Baku were first introduced in the Onegai My Melody anime, and they were the main antagonists, at least for a good while. And as a team, they are really charming. They make a really good team, and their personalities complement each other pretty well. Let's first talk about our favorite impish bunny, Kuromi. Kuromi is My Melody's friendly rival, with this rivalry being felt mainly by Kuromi herself. She's mischievous and can come off as rude from time to time, but despite her hard exterior, she's a good person. Much like My Melody, she wears a hood, however her hood is that of a jester, and it's adorned with a pink skull. Interestingly enough, the expression on this skull always matches Kuromi's own expression and emotions. During the research for this episode, I came to realize that despite Kuromi being described as a little bit of a tomboy, she can be very, very girly, like stereotypically girly. She loves writing in her diary, she loves crushing over attractive guys, and she loves romantic short stories. When it comes to her diary, we actually get to hear a lot about it in the anime, and I'm gonna be honest, I think Kuromi is not writing a diary right. I say this because she usually uses it as a way to document all her grievances with My Melody. She just writes whatever My Melody did that day that she didn't like. Most of the time it's something really silly and petty, like eating Kuromi's last pickled onion. But to be honest, I feel like at some point I'd get mad too. Like I mentioned in my last video when I was designing My Melody, girl is a bit of a hairhead. I love her, but my opinion still stands. She has always been a really popular character, placing third 3 times in a row even, and that popularity doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Baku is not nearly as popular. I can think of a few reasons for it, mainly his design being more plain than your average Sanrio mascot. Maybe the fact that he is a side character. Most side characters in Sanrio aren't very popular either. Because of this, it was actually kinda hard to find out more about him. Unfortunately, Sanrio doesn't give him much love. He appears sometimes alongside Kuromi, but it doesn't happen all that much, which is kinda odd because he is Kuromi's assumed best friend / sidekick. You'd think he would appear more times. Still, I was able to find out that Baku is a tapir. He comes from a pretty big family, and his most interesting traits are his patient nature, as well as his loyalty and kind demeanor towards his loved ones. He is described as Kuromi's loyal sidekick that goes around sniffing out for dreams. This correlates directly with the plot and conflict of the anime. He is constantly teased by Kuromi, still, when push comes to shove, it's clear that they care a lot for each other. You'd think that out of the two, Kuromi would be the mischievous one, but Baku is actually pretty mischievous himself. And finally, let's design Pochacco's magical girl. Pochacco was released in 1989 after Sanrio lost the rights to the Peanuts, so essentially he was designed to fill the void that Snoopy left behind. I reckon that's why they look so much alike. He is described as very playful and sporty, with his favorite sports being basketball and football, or soccer, depending where you're from, where he usually plays as a goalkeeper. Around the mid-1990s, he took up more sports, such as skateboarding and riding his motor scooter. They also describe him as a very clumsy guy, always tripping over himself. Another fun fact is that his birthday is said to be the 29th of February, making it seem that he was created on a leap year. However, 89 was not a leap year, so technically his birthday doesn't exist. Sounds fitting for this silly little guy. I didn't actually know about him for the longest time. I only got to know him because he's one of my friend's favorites. At first, I didn't think much of him, but lately he's been growing on me. He's adorable, I love his design and his void eyes just staring into space. I'm clearly the only one that thought about him that way because Pochacco is incredibly popular. He placed second in this year's annual ranking, and he placed first 5 consecutive years from 1991 to 95. When designing him a magical girl, I imagined that she would have a pretty round face like him. I saw her as a younger girl with a freckled face and chubby cheeks. Her hair is mostly white, with a few black parts, such as her cowlick and her pigtails. You can only see one of the pigtails because of her pose, but she has two. I also gave her a scarf covering her mouth, since Pochacco doesn't have a mouth in his design. I also thought that she would be, like the character, pretty clumsy, so she also has a lot of bandages in her design. She turned out really cute. Before we end the video, I'd love to thank Lunaria T on Twitter for their amazing fan art. Their link is going to be in the description. If you'd like to have your fan art shouted out in my videos, just tag me in the post on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or Kara. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video. If you want to see more stuff from me, I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at momopurin_chan and on Kara at momopurin. Thank you so much, and until next time,